Hey y'all, hope you're doing good today. So, I wanted to share some thoughts on wisdom. And I wonder if you have this happen. This is really fun for me. But a lot of times I'll be really thinking about something and just sort of, marinating on it over a long period of time. It could be like a full day or a week or something like that. And then I'll have the thought like, oh yeah, I need to, ask the Lord for, his input. And I'm working on shifting that so that I go to him quicker, right? But anyway, that's what I did. And a lot of times I'll pray over my Bible and then I'll just kind of let it fall open. And and sometimes, most of the time, it will be a very relevant and related area or section in the Bible that is just confirmation for me that God's there with me on the topic, on the subject. So that's what has happened as far as wisdom. And so I've been reading in Proverbs how it talks about, and all the way from Proverbs 1 through, I've been focusing on 1 through 3, okay? And I'm going to be pulling some information, like some footnotes from my Bible, and this is the one that I have, so King James Version. But it's talking about, not to walk in the way of sinners, and how, there's a section called Wisdom Cries in the Streets, and that's really interesting. But then it goes more into, what wisdom really is and how discretion works with wisdom, okay? And I like how specifically it says that, the Lord gives wisdom, okay? So let's just take a moment and look at Proverbs chapter 3, verse 13. And the title of this section is Wisdom is Precious, okay? So in this verse 13 it says, happy is the man that findeth wisdom, finds, okay? And the man that getteth understanding. So if you look at this, you have two actions on our part, okay? Finding and getting. Finding is a different type of approach, okay? It's more of a yearning and a desire to be receptive and to kind of have open eyes and open ears and an open heart and all this, okay? And this is also following the previous chapters here, or 1 and 2, where, it's kind of like a preparation for understanding, the deeper understanding of wisdom, because God is explaining that it says, for example, chapter 1, verse 32, for the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of fools shall destroy them, okay? But whoso hearkeneth unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil. And then it goes into chapter 2, the Lord gives wisdom. So it says, my son, if thou wilt receive my words. So it's God that is giving the wisdom. And just to kind of reiterate that, when you look up, and this is in my Bible here, there's a footnote on the word wisdom, and it explains the Hebrew version, which is Chokmah. I don't know how to pronounce that. Chokmah, I have no idea. Also means skill and can refer to ability in craftsmanship, in war, and in trade. The most common use of chokmah is in reference to wisdom in daily living. This is the sense of the word as it is used throughout Proverbs, which teaches that true wisdom involves not only intelligence but also moral integrity, okay? And then it talks about a sinful lifestyle is ultimately self-destructive. Wisdom is extolled as the only path to a full and fruitful life. The source of wisdom is God. He is the source. Who by wisdom founded the earth, numbered the clouds, and made the world. He alone can provide men and women with the wisdom to live righteously. So, yes, so there's the finding because it's already found. You know, it's already in existence. It's already gotten, okay? And it's with God. And we just have to find that. And how do we find that? Because we find God. Again, I've mentioned in previous messages about, you know, the relationship. Our relationship with God has to come first, which, you know, is explained in the verse that says, you know, to seek the kingdom first. And so it's just another fruit, okay, of that relationship. So happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. So the other action on our behalf is to get. And that's where, you know, sometimes you'll have, and then we have knowledge you can bring into the mix here. But a lot of times you'll be given something, okay? And sometimes God will give us these little insights that we kind of understand intellectually at a surface level, but it doesn't really apply in the moment in our life. And we kind of wonder, you ever had those thoughts where you're like, I wonder why, like, where'd that come from? You know, well, it came from somewhere. And then later, at some point, you know, something will happen in our life, and this little breadcrumb that we were given just suddenly applies. And then at that point, this deeper understanding clicks within us, and it's like it's just amplified and magnified and illuminated for us. It's a whole other deeper level of understanding. So this getting understanding, you might look at as either our conscious striving by, you know, reading the Bible and praying about stuff and researching. You know, there's that kind of approach to getting understanding and really just meditating on something. But another way of getting understanding is life itself, is living life. And those are the hard lessons. But when we get it, we've got it, usually, you know, especially if it was a hard way to get an understanding on something. But there's the getting part, okay? So the finding and the getting. And I love how wisdom is described as a person. It's personified, because I'm going to read here from chapter 3, and again starting at verse 13, where it says, wisdom is precious, and happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. Let's keep reading. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. I mean, it's you can't compare it. It's that wonderful, okay? But notice he doesn't refer to wisdom as it, but her and she. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her. Excuse me. The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens. Yes, by his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down like the dew. I'm sorry. The clouds drop down the dew. That makes more sense, right? In other words, he's orchestrating everything, you know, even the rain. My son, let not them depart from thine eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. And so it goes on to elaborate, you know, chapter 4 is about the instruction of a father and getting understanding and avoiding evil. So here we get into the application, okay? So I love how this is progressive. It's teaching us how important it is, the nature of it, where it comes from, our part in it, and all this. And then it progresses, into how we use it, how we can apply it. So when you get to chapter 5, it's talking about, the title here is The Lips of a Strange Woman. And I feel like sometimes I've heard different ones and I've read different people have approached this as just sort of in one way, a very simplified way. And I'm certainly not proclaiming to be an expert and have, all the multifaceted ways to look at this, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention, as something to look at if you have interest. Okay, so let's read it real quick. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house. And then it's going to explain the consequences. And I wonder if this might resonate with you as far as the things you've been through, because it did to me, okay? Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. And say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. And that's exactly the devouring spirit of Satan that operates through people. And it's consuming, it's devouring, it's destructive, and a lot of times when we go through stuff and we feel like we, unfortunately, it's not just coming face to face with evil, but it's getting involved unknowingly because we had not at that point gained the wisdom and the understanding. And so, and I find it interesting, just a little quick side note, I don't even know where it was that I read, but it was also pointed out to keep it, to retain it. So it's not just about getting it and then moving on. It's something that we have to consciously retain and keep close to us to guard our hearts. And it says here in chapter 4, verse 23, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So it's flat out dangerous. It's flat out dangerous if we are operating in this world not seeking the kingdom first. Even if you feel like you are a Christian, even if you feel like you love God and you feel pretty confident in in that area, okay, your beliefs, your spiritual beliefs and all that, I think that, there's even somewhere in the Bible it talks about even the elect being deceived. We can all be deceived, and we can deceive ourselves too, because we can feel like we're good, like we're making good, sound decisions, and we have good judgment. But if we're doing it on our own, even if we're doing good things, just in terms of just common sense integrity, even if we're doing good things in the world per ourselves and others, it's still not the same as consulting God. And we are instructed, I gotta find it and I'll drop it down in the description, I don't know where the verse is, but we are instructed to consult with Him on everything. And so what I am finding, and I know I've been very quiet lately, and that's for a reason, because I'm just I've been working on my art stuff. I've got my stuff scattered everywhere, and I've got brushes and paint and sponges and everything else. But I've been a sponge, okay? And I'm just soaking up the Word of God and spending time, getting that understanding. So, yeah. And I'm coming to that understanding at this point that there's a whole other level of, I would say complexity, but it's not complexity in a bad way. It's just an intricacy, I guess, lots of details, okay, that make up the truth, or what is called the true wisdom, right, that comes from God, that He gives us. The way that I receive wisdom is different now. And the wisdom that I receive in itself, that I'm, taking the time to process so that I can utilize properly, is different in itself because it's so complex. Maybe this will get easier over time for me. I don't know. But, I always thought that simplicity was a good thing. And maybe it is in certain situations. But, look how it says right here. The turning away of the simple shall slay them. And there's another, where is it? It talks about simplicity. Here's another part, where it says, how long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? There it is. So, I think that we don't even realize that we make very quick assessments, opinions, judgments about people, about situations, about everything. I think that we don't even realize that we do that, and there's so much more to it. And an easy way to find proof of this, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but I have. You can hear someone make a statement on, and this can be like somebody somebody you're listening to on YouTube. It can come from the news. It can come from anywhere. But you can hear someone make a statement on something, and it can be something that intimately, like it was almost like they said something that would apply perfectly to something you experienced in the past, or a decision you made in the past, or something like that. Let's go with that. A decision you made in the past. And they can make a quick assessment and label that as like, wow, can you believe people would do that? Or whatever. And you're sitting here thinking, yeah, I know why. And you have the explanation that's very intricate, and it's not a bad thing, but this person has made a quick snap judgment. So you see what I'm saying? So that's just proof to you. And it's not to point fingers or anything. It's just, I think we all do it. And I think there's this old saying that says something like, the more I learn, the more there is to learn. And there's also, where is it? In Corinthians, I think, where it says, in order to get wisdom, you have to become a fool first. In other words, you can't just go around, you can, but if you want to be genuinely, truly wise, operating with wisdom from God, that kind of wisdom, then we can't just be leaving God out of the equation. We just can't. And you can love God, and you can have what you feel like is a strong faith, but if you're not bringing Him into every situation, then you haven't asked for His input, and He's going to let you go ahead and make your decisions, and you may even feel like you made a great decision, and there may be a good outcome, and not really so much like a bad consequence. Maybe it's just a good outcome, and you think, and that can kind of give you more confidence that you've got good judgment and all this, but that's still leaving God out of the equation. It's leaving Him out. And it takes patience, which is, ironically, a fruit of the Spirit, described in the Bible as a fruit of the Spirit. So that relationship has to come first. The Holy Spirit being, breathed into, given unto us within our mind and heart, that has to come first. But patience, I'm finding, and I'm working on it, I feel like I have it, but I think that we have to learn how to operate it. It's kind of like if you're just gifted the keys to a car and you haven't learned how to drive yet, okay? It's like you have to learn how to operate with it. But so I feel like I have patience, but when I have been able to truly not be distracted, truly focus, and spend that time with God, in communication, it's like a question and answer type conversation, okay? And there's this discussion going back and forth within you, and it's different than thinking for yourself. And you'll know, there won't be a question about it. You'll know for sure. And what I'm finding is I can't just make this happen on my own will, in my hurried life. There has to be a softening within us first that is inviting to the Lord. It's the same way if you're in a relationship with someone, in the 3D world, it's the same thing. You can't just be busy, never hardly ever acknowledging that person until you need them. And then you're just, you're in a hurry and you just stop real quick and you expect them to just stop where they are and communicate with you or give you whatever you need. It doesn't work that way. You have to maintain that relationship, and there has to be a patience there, and a softness and an opening and a receptivity within your spirit for that engagement. I'm getting hot. Hang on. I'm waking up. Guess what? I switched to decaf. This is actually homemade, even though I saved my cups because I'm like, that's a lot of trash to throw away. You know what I mean? If you can get your coffees out a lot, so I'll save them and use them. And but yeah, I've switched to decaf. And you know what? I have so much energy now. It's bizarre. I might struggle a little bit more in the mornings to get going, but I noticed that if I don't eat a heavy lunch, if I do, I'm going to be ready for bed at 2 o'clock. But if I don't, then, I'm pretty stable throughout the day, and I even have a hard time going to sleep now. And I think the caffeine builds you up and then you crash. And it's just, for me, it wasn't healthy. I do still have it. I do occasionally, but I drink decaf tea and coffee. And you got to look into, if you have interest, the method of how they make the tea and the coffee decaf, because there's a chemical way and a non-chemical way. So I'm drinking Peet's coffee now, and it's pretty good. So reel myself back in here. Where was I? It's just different. This thought process that you have when God is instructing you. What the revelations you're going to have as a part of your thought process are going to be so intricate and you might say complex. So much so that it's he can give you this much and that you've got to take a minute and process it. So see, it's God will show you just how simple, or you might say limited, we really are. And how awesome is that? How awesome, really. We couldn't even withstand the full glory of God. It's just, that's awesome, But where am I at? 24 minutes. I didn't want it to be super long. But I just wanted to say hello and share my thoughts on that, and just let you know that I think that our good intentions and our desire can get the best of us sometimes. And it can put us in a mode of operating without that patient receptivity, if that's even a word. I think it is. Where we're, able to receive God's input. Yeah, I think it's just sort of a habit we can get into. And then we can wind up making some bad decisions that may even look like good decisions in the beginning. You know, I was talking about the lips of a strange woman are smooth as a honeycomb. It's kind of like that. But when you go down those paths of not, I know that's, I'm looking at this totally metaphorically, okay? As far as the lips of a strange woman, I know it can be literal with people that are trying to be attractive and appealing and to lure you in and devour you and all your finances and everything. Like, I know that can be literal, but it's also, there's more to it, you know. You can look at the bigger picture, and it can be, I'm trying to think of more examples, but just look at it metaphorically, and then you can kind of apply it as a lens to several different situations. But what can happen is we can just set off down this path, leaving God out of the equation, and it can be a snowball effect over time. And at the end, we can kind of be like what's described that I read to you all just now. I just closed my Bible though, where it says like all that's left of us is like, you know, bones. It's kind of like that, because we've just about been devoured, you know, and taken over by all evil. And so see, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to identify evil, the workings of it. People who are consciously a vessel for it, and people who are unconsciously a vessel for it. We can just get entrapped so easily and be affected. And so I think that this is something good to keep in mind, that we need to always consult with God first. And, you know, if we do it in that demanding kind of way because we're busy, then we may not get anything from Him. But if we truly love Him, and we should, why wouldn't we? He's the only reason we're here. I've accomplished a lot in my life. And yeah, I worked really hard. And it would be easy for me to say I did it, because I did work really hard, but I know that ultimately every single thing is only by God's grace. The things that I accomplished, ultimately, yeah, I had to put the hard work in, but ultimately it was all by His grace. And sometimes He gifts people with things and they don't have to work for it, see? And I even look at the things that people do, and I don't know how they sleep at night and they get away with it. Even that's only by God's grace. He can, at any moment, He can snap His fingers and that's it. So why would we not just be in complete reverent awe at all times at His power and omniscience? And He didn't have to make us, and He did. I mean, how cool is that? So if we truly desire that relationship with Him, we got to tune other stuff out. We got to make time for it. It's the same thing in your life when you're wanting to have a friend or a boyfriend or girlfriend or, any kind of relationship. You got to make time for them. You got to make time for them. Time is, if a person gives you their time, that's one of the most awesome gifts you can get. And, it's the same way with us and God. And that is when He will respond to you. That's been my experience. And I'm still working at it because I'm very, very busy. And I know we all are, but I mean, what's more important? What could possibly be more important? And just a side note, I guess I'm supposed to share this because I was reminded of it by saying what's more important. My dad, when I was young and starting to drive, and even as I got older, he kept telling me this over and over, but there's people that, out in traffic, they'll just speed and put their lives at risk and everything, and the lives of others and their children if they're in the car and everything, just to try and make it somewhere, on time. And if you think about it, you weigh out the risk benefit ratio here. Excuse me. is it really worth it? You know? And so what he would always say to me is, what's 2 or 3 minutes compared to the rest of your life? That's what he would say to me. And I completely agree. Completely agree. I mean, if you have to be late, be late. But patience is, man, it's life-saving in many, many ways. And by that I mean soul-saving too, I think, you know. And peace-saving and life-saving and all the things. So I hope that this has been interesting for you. I hope that it got the wheels turning most of all. Thank you so much for coming along to hear the message. I hope that you have a beautiful day. And I'll see you again very soon.